Are you excited? Are you excited? Fujifilm just released the Fujifilm XH2, and in this sort of podcast style episode, we're going to discuss all the goodness. Here it is right here. Oh no, wait a minute. This is the Fujifilm X-T3. I actually don't have the camera, but some of us got to meet with Fujifilm beforehand to ask questions about the camera. I will tell you my initial reaction was, whoa. WHO. That's who. But the first thing that the gang said at Fujifilm was that this new camera, the XH2, that the H line, they seem to stress, is the flagship line. And that struck me a little bit as a surprise because I always thought that the XT line and even the GFX was sort of like higher level. The first good news we got was that the EVF was redesigned. And I think that's a very important part of having a camera experience that's pleasurable, is having a bright, clear, high refresh rate EVF. And I think that's holding a lot of people back that have OVFs, that still have the DSLR, is the EVF is this, sort of delayed sometimes screen. It's small, it's cramped. And so when I saw that it was like 5.6 million dots and that they explained something technical that I didn't understand here. I just wrote down it has a good balance of something, refresh rate to some other technical mumbo jumbo that they talked about. But I defined it as that the EVF is going to be great. Fully articulating screen, which is to be expected here because it is just like the XH1, and also it is video powerhouse. So it's great that it has the flip out screen. I think I'm kind of coming around to having at least one camera with a flip out screen. That is Fujifilm. I enjoyed the XS10 with the flip out screen. And I find that what I enjoy most is closing the flip screen and using the EVF. And if this EVF is 5.6 million dots deliciousness, it's great to walk around with the camera, maybe with one battery while you're traveling, and have the screen closed. And hopefully the EVF, while you have it around your neck, has the eye sensor, which will turn off the EVF, save battery. That should be really, really cool. So it's got a brand new mechanical shutter that shoots 15 frames per second mechanical, which is like, wow. I just remember a year or two back, that was the electronic. And I couldn't believe when they said it was 40 frames a second electronic shutter. And I actually asked the question during the presentation. I had to stop them and ask, is it JPEG? Because as we know, the Nikon Z9 shoots 30 frames a second, but you only get JPEGs. And the JPEGs are beautiful and nice, and you can print them large, that's fine. But no, you get RAW files, 40 frames a second RAW files. The camera does have image stabilization. It says it has 7 stops of image stabilization, which is incredible. They didn't talk about any new film simulations or anything, so I'm assuming it has all the current X-T4 film simulations, which is always great. And one of the questions I had was, will it save your movie settings and your photo settings? And it seems to be, they did add one feature that is fantastic, which is you could be in photo mode. You could be taking photos and press the record button, the movie record button, and you can get quick video. I love that. I love that you don't have to switch modes and see what your mode, like what your movie mode settings are. You could get the same video as your photo settings. Just grab a little video, keep shooting photos. That's great for people like me who just want casual videos, travel, vlog, like you want just a little bit of video of the plaza, then you go right back to taking photos. I love that. But if you do want to decouple the photo settings with the movie settings, it seems like they added a huge number of banks of custom functions, C1 to like C7. And from my understanding, they don't work in a way where C1 saves the photo settings, but you can also have C1 for video settings. It doesn't work that way. C1 will hold a whole bank of one of the modes. So C1 will be total video, C2 could be total photo, but you can't mix and match. And if you can't mix and match, it's good that they gave us 7 different categories. And I could see really advanced users kind of really filling up those 7 custom functions with film simulations and have one be slow-mo, have one be super slow-mo, uh, have one be noir. Where's my noir? Right here. Now, because there are custom slots, the camera doesn't have the typical dials of your XT. And at first, when I heard that, I was a little disappointed because the XH1, I believe, had a shutter dial. And but now, if you're calling this your flagship regular camera, it has the heart of a Fujifilm inside, but it's sort of a powerhouse where you can shoot weddings, wedding videos, portraits, landscapes with it. It's got a better grip. I like that Fujifilm did this. I like that they made a flagship, nice to hold camera that is not the GFX, which is really expensive. Now, the biggest question that I had was when they announced, when we were in our meeting, they said that it has a full new autofocus system. And the first thing that popped into my head was, well, which lenses are going to play nice with this new focus system? And I'm sure that, you've already seen a demo or something with the release, with the announcement. But I was super impressed where they put, the little demo we got, they put a box around like an animal, and the animal had like a square around its head and then had little squares around its eyes. So it looked kind of freaky seeing the dog completely enshrouded in rectangles and boxes. So I could see that being really distracting if you're shooting wildlife. Maybe you can turn off the different squares and boxes. But if this is a brand new autofocus system that brings Fujifilm to the next level, I can't wait to test it and try it. It's also important to see how they implement the autofocus system, because one of the biggest hangups is it can be wonderful, but what are the options when the camera can't find an eye or face and you quickly need to focus on the first kiss or something that's happening? Is there a way, like a quick, and I'm sure Fujifilm users will get very smart with what function button to set, which will be like a quick single focus point, or maybe one of the dials can completely be a single focus point. So it's interesting to see how this new bird, I think they said train, car, sort of what's coming out in all the cameras now. The camera is smart enough to pick out an object. That looked impressive. And what I was thinking in my head when I saw it was like, this is not Fujifilm. Fujifilm is a single focus point in the center. So that was interesting to see. And they also showed a grid, like a basketball game with a little bit of a zone. And they mentioned how the zone is smarter now to know, which player you're sort of focusing on. So I didn't really get the full gist of that, but it'd be interesting if you can shoot your Fujifilm cameras in like full continuous now. Are they good enough to lock on, if you're doing street photography, lock onto something and, not hunt or get confused by the background? So a lot of us are used to using our Fujifilm cameras in single focus point. There were some new buttons on the front, like there's no more dial, no more little switchy poo. And I know that Justin, the person leading the meeting and telling us about the camera, he was so honest and said that, there are going to be some people that are a little, thrown off by not having the famous switch, but at least there's something there. There's now, the buttons have been completely redesigned, and they have like apparently a little bit more of a bulbous feel where you can they're easy to reach. And one of my biggest complaints on Fujifilms is the dials on the back are just so small and dinky. So the dials on the back have been revamped to be larger, more robust, and weather resistant, so they don't push in. The camera apparently has 2 processors, so that IBIS is on one and all the autofocus stuff's on another, so it should speed up the camera. But again, I go back to, because they did announce some lenses, do we need to rebuy all the lenses that are going to come out to get the full, autofocus capabilities of this camera? Because if you slap this little 27, first generation 2.8 on there, how is it going to perform? Is it going to be like... It has the same battery as the Fujifilm X-T4, but it was mentioned that battery life will be improved because of some mumbo jumbo they did. It will come, there's like a hand grip, like a big battery grip that is available. There's 2 different battery grips, and one of them gives you like, super Ethernet sort of capabilities, and you can sort of share images quickly. But what was going through my mind is I kept praying and hoping during this segment when they were talking to us that the app was vamped up, that the Fujifilm app has been redesigned to completely work with this camera and legacy cameras to be just, easy to connect and have great, connectivity and can be rotated and all that stuff. But there was none of that. All right, so that's my take on it. Now I want to talk to someone you may know.
I have an XT3 with a Viltrox 33 millimeter on.
Is it auto?
Yeah, look at that. Look how crap. Look at that. Look at that. Holy crap.
Yeah. I mean, look at this.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, let's do a test. Let's do a test right now.